you can make tons of money. I mean, I had turned a long-term rental from $1,500 a month to $9,000 a month just with the Airbnb. So there's a
Wow.
huge opportunity in that. That being said, it's a lot more active. You have to make sure, if anything goes wrong, it needs to be fixed ASAP. If someone's going to stay there for 2 days and the AC goes out the first day, I mean, it needs to be done that night.
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Pros Podcast. I'm Kristen, and I'm here with Curtis Bellenot. He is out of Savannah, Georgia, and he's an investor who focuses on long-term rentals and house flipping. And he's in various markets we're going to get into. Thank you so much for being here, Curtis.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So I want to get into your background. You kind of used to have this as a part-time passion, and now you're doing this full-time. I would love for you to talk about kind of what got you to this place.
Sure. So I grew up in Los Angeles, middle class, and I had friends growing up that would get picked up in a Lamborghini while, I got picked up on a Toyota Corolla. And so I was interested in like, what's the difference between them and me? My parents, love them. They stayed together. They provided everything that I could want, or everything I needed. And so I tried college, wasn't for me, ended up joining the military and got a lot of skills from it, but realized, hey, I'd like something more in life, monetarily. So I ended up having some great NCOs, some great bosses that were doing some long-term investing and kind of got me on the real estate path. And after a couple deployments, I'd saved up some money. I bought my first house in El Paso, Texas, right at the bottom of the market in 2012, which was wild. These neighborhoods were 5 miles by 5 miles, and every other house was empty or for sale. I mean, HUD had actually come in and cleaned out all these houses, gave them a paint job, replaced the carpets. And my realtor at the time, Roberto, loved him to death. He was broke real estate agent. He just started right before the crash. He was like teaching real estate at the local college. And I think we visited like 80 houses before I bought my first one. It was a long term. I was going to move into it. Then I got orders. I rented it out, and we lucked out because the agent had advertised it as a 3-2. And like I said, there was, thousands of houses available. And so 3-2s were going for like 82 and 4-2s were going for about 92. And we walked the house. I think it was a 3-2. Turned out it was a 4-2. And so it was basically 82,000 versus 92. So instant equity. So I bought it, lived in it for a bit, got deployed, and put a renter in there. And then that was the first one. So
Wow.
Yeah.
That's kind of rare that the first one going so well is a rarity.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
Well, I had good mentors. I read a couple of great books, like The Millionaire Real Estate Investor by Gary Keller of Keller Williams. I mean, that if anybody takes anything from this podcast, just read that book. It'll make you tons of money. All the gurus that they basically are teaching that formula. I do agree you should get into masterminds and gurus and pay coaches and all those things, but that book has most of that information if you want it. And so then I deployed, and I just, you have a lot of time over an deployment. So I just read everything I could, about starting a business and doing those other things. And so when I got down to Savannah, Georgia, I was blown away. I mean, you could have a house that was worth, $500,000, and then a quarter mile away, a house worth 26,000. So there was just tons of opportunity, especially coming from a big area. I mean, Savannah, Georgia, it's so small that the neighborhood that I bought my first house in El Paso is larger than the entire city. So there was a lot of opportunities with evaluations. And, at the time, 2014, a lot of people were, gentrification, moving to cities, more affordable places. And they wanted the charm of the city. I mean, it was a beautiful city, beautiful live oaks. It had an art college, but also military presence. It had a great port, had a bunch of manufacturing jobs. It was and lots of tourists. So it was a really well-balanced economy. And I just kind of got hooked on flipping these old Victorians and Craftsmans with, 12-foot ceilings, big giant pillars on everything, and intricate details. I just fell in love, and it was dirt cheap to do. And I learned a lot about houses. I used to fix helicopters in the military.
Okay.
Everything's engineered to go together, and houses aren't. I had no idea about that. I had no idea about the quality control. I had no idea about construction and how crazy it is.
Yeah.
So
And you
it
were
was a
doing all your own construction, correct?
well, I had general contractors do a lot of the work at the beginning, especially on the bigger ones. And I got to a point where I was like, you guys don't know what the hell you're doing. I can do it better. And so that's how I started my own construction company in 2019, right before COVID. Don't recommend
Yeah.
doing that, but,
Yeah, well, that's awesome. I mean, that's a really good story to how you got there. And I mean, I can tell that you're so passionate about the industry. I know that kind of getting started as a veteran, you say that there's a lot of resources available that you want people to know about, and that made your journey a little bit easier. Could you share some of those?
Yeah, definitely. Having a military job, a lot of people say, "Oh, you're working all the time. Get out of here." If you're in garrison, you're working quite a bit, and you're physically at somewhere. But there's plenty of times to, look on Zillow, look on Redfin, talk to people, field phone calls, do all those sort of things. If you really want it, the military is a great spot to, kind of do both of those things, and start a business. A lot of my friends in the military, as I was getting out, were, part-time realtors. And if you want to make money on the side, you can become a realtor. And all you have to do is just, hey, you're PCS and you're changing stations. If you got a realtor license, then you can find out who's moving there, and wherever you're buying, probably other military people are going to live next to you. And so you can just use that as a funnel for all your new clients. And even if you're doing 2 or 3 houses a year, that maybe $20,000-$30,000 extra in your pocket for, maybe 100 hours of work a year. Very, very simple. Same thing is you're very bankable. You got a nice W-2, you have, a set contract. So banks would love to lend to you. You also have the GI Bill, excuse me. Yeah, we have the GI Bill, but then you also have VA loans, which I don't know the exact things right now, but depending on what you do, it's, either 97% loan to value, which is great. And then other loan terms, you can actually take the closing costs and move them into the loan. I think the highest I've seen is like 107% LTV, which is crazy. You're basically getting free money. at a very discounted rate. And then you can buy up to a 4-unit apartment complex with the VA loan. And so if you have your BAH, which is the basic allowance of housing, you can live in 1 unit, and that your BAH should pay for that. And then the other 3 units are going to pay down that mortgage.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency. It's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
And then as soon as you PCS, you can put a new renter in there, and then that thing should be cash flowing pretty well. So that's just a huge jump in your bankability, your net worth with just one property. This, you can be in the military for 2 years and get this stuff.
Wow.
It behooves people to understand the amount of leverage that they're willing to give you. So
Absolutely. Take advantage of what's out there and the resources you're being given. I think that's incredible that you can leverage so much, in one property. So now, you're rolling with investing and you have a really nice portfolio set up. I know that you are in the long-term rental space. Can you talk about the opportunity there and what you like about that specific sector?
yeah, I mean, I had short-term rentals, I had executive rentals, I had long-term rentals. They're all good. They're all different, and depending on what your wants and needs are at the time. If you're active and wanted to really pursue growth, certain like Airbnb, VRBO, you can make tons of money. I mean, I had turned a long-term rental from $1,500 a month to $9,000 a month just with the Airbnb. So there's a
Wow.
huge opportunity in that. That being said, it's a lot more active. You have to make sure, if anything goes wrong, it needs to be fixed ASAP. If
Mhm.
someone's going to stay there for 2 days and the AC goes out the first day, I mean, it needs to be done that night. If there's leaks, if there's issues, if there's parties, you gotta, quell the neighbors, make sure that they're cool with that. And then some of the executive rentals, we kind of did some long-term stuff, which is great if you have a certain amount of people in your city that are doing that. We had a big plant that was getting built over here. So the executive rentals worked out great. That plant has since been completed, and we watched that kind of, come down in value. And the same thing with that, you have all this furniture, you have TVs, you have art. So even though the deposit may be a lot, compared to a regular rental, you still are going to lose a lot of money if there are issues. So the long-term stuff is great. You don't make as much money, but it's long-term. So, you're not going to get rich off 1 or 2 or 5, but you get to a certain point where you get 10, 15 long-term rentals at 30-year fixed rates. And over the course of 5, 10 years, you've increased the rents by $1,000. And if you start paying those things down fast enough, it becomes like the snowball effect. And you can take your, if you're not pulling all that cash out for your living expenses, pay off one, move that to pay off the next one, then those two will pay off that next one. And pretty soon you can really pay down debt really fast. And watch the returns really come in once those loans are paid off.
Yeah, I mean, that's incredible. And I think that, yeah, as you said, people have different strategies and they have different goals with real estate. I think playing the long game is always beneficial to build wealth. But yeah, with short-term rentals, some people are looking for that high monthly income. Yeah, there's just pros and cons with everything. And then so you are invested in multiple areas. How do you find the best places where people actually want to move?
Um,
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
well, there's this thing called like the path of progress. And so in any area, you're going to have a place where the people are moving to, whether it's, um, let's say vacation homes or in a city and, there's a place where it's not quite as good, but you got like the cool artists and you got the cool coffee shops. Then those sort of places are going to be increasing in value. When it comes to different markets, it's really important to, have an economy that, can support it. So not just like a mill town in, Ohio. The returns are going to be great, but as soon as that mill closes, boom, you're done. Your investment's gone. Um, I had an uncle who he focused on accounting at nuclear plants and he always bought houses. And then so he was the last one out and then was always wondering why he could never make money in real estate. And it's like, yeah, because you're literally shutting down the biggest employer in the area. So even very smart people can make horrible mistakes in real estate. He should have just rented. He would have saved a lot of money. Um,
Yeah.
so in where I'm at in Savannah, Georgia, it's a smaller city than Charleston. Charleston's about 2 hours north of us. And the saying here is we're 10 years behind Charleston. And then there's a town below us about an hour south called Brunswick, which is very similar to Savannah. And they're about 10 to 15 years behind Savannah. So it was very easy to be like, oh, what's going on in Charleston is going to happen here in Savannah, which is then going to happen down in Brunswick. So knowing your local market, knowing where people are going, understanding the local economy, what's happening, then you can basically make some pretty good predictions on where these things are going to go. That being said, sometimes it takes a bit longer than expected. Hence why I like to buy long term in these places where, as long as the cash flow works, I'm happy at the current levels. And then all the appreciation that comes with the more growth and more opportunities that happen there is just the cherry on top.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that that's really good advice. I think that's applicable for people who are trying to expand maybe outside of exactly where they live, kind of find different markets that sort of replicate what the market is doing. And just in general, I would love for you to talk about just getting into real estate in the market. I think there's a lot of information being thrown out. People are confused, people are have trepidation about it. What's your perspective on where we're at today?
Um, Yes, there is a lot of information going out and, it depends on what you're doing, who you're at, where you're at in life, those sort of stages. My biggest thing is if you're renting, then you're throwing that money away and paying somebody else's mortgage. So, even if you do rent, and you have a great place and you have dirt cheap rent, you should buy something that you can rent out. And that way somebody else is paying your mortgage costs. So, obviously if you got a sweetheart deal and you love your landlord, you've been there for 10 years, you don't want to move. I'm not saying buy a house for you to live in. I'm saying buy a house so that it will supplement your income, and then create, basically a savings account that somebody else is paying into that you
Yeah.
can, pull that equity later on. And, or, if you make enough money off your rental properties, then you don't have to pay rent. Your rental properties will supplement your rent. The other thing is, while everyone goes, oh, mortgage rates are so high and da da da, historically they're not. 67% is actually a normal rate in a good economy. Obviously, 2%, 3%, 4% rates that happened recently, those are not going to happen again anytime soon, no matter what the Federal Reserve does. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but the Federal Reserve, is dropping interest rates, but the 10-year mortgage or the 10-year treasuries are not keeping up with that because people are realizing like, hey, the Federal Reserve is just, inflating the debt away. And so they're not going to be buying, these 10-year treasuries at 3% interest rates because they're actually going to lose money on there. And then also in the 1980s, even the 90s, it was very common to have 18, 19% interest rates for these 30-year fixed products. Even 12% was crazy. I think my parents bought their house in 88 and they were very happy to have a single digit mortgage interest rate. This is, you're still historically at a low average. And then going back into the Federal Reserve and the things that they're doing is, you know, we spent years, with the wars and terror, all these other things we've been doing. So we're kind of at this like 1970s stagflation moment where anything that you buy now it's not going to get any cheaper. So labor is not going to get cheaper. Tile's not going to get any cheaper. All the materials aren't going to get any cheaper. So if you can buy something, $1970, then, you're killing it now. So, I like it to say is like you could buy a brand new Corvette in 1972 for $4,000. The cheapest Corvette now is like $80,000. So just understand the purchasing power today. For a hard asset that can cash flow towards you, you're always going to win. That being said, don't go into Ohio mill towns. St. Louis, I got a lot of friends that invested there or trying to get out of it. The numbers look amazing, but the crime is crazy, and it's a pain in the butt to visit some of those places. I do love St. Louis. I'll visit there often, but I'm not investing there. Same thing with Idaho, Indiana, Ohio. I don't do those. And also when it comes to getting your foot in the door, just buying a cheap rental in an okay area that you drive by on a regular basis is a great way to get started. That way you can check on the property. If you have a property manager, you can still check up on what they're doing. You can see if the tenants are keeping up with the maintenance. So it doesn't have to be crazy hard. You don't have to have 100 houses. You don't have to do all these things. But if you have, 3 houses, that you buy for $120,000, you rent that out for $1,500. In 10 years, you're gonna have 50K of equity in each one of those, and it's just a simple, easy, thing to do. It's less speculative than some of the crypto stuff. It's less risky than the stock market. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you just dropped a lot of great information there, really practical stuff. I mean, having perspective on the market and zooming out from where we're at and not getting so caught up on the numbers and how they maybe relate to a very unique time in our history. I think really taking a look at where you're investing and getting very zoomed in on where you're investing and being knowledgeable about that is very important. Yeah, I think you've given a lot of great advice. So to kind of wrap this up, because we're at the end of our time, what would be a piece of advice that maybe you wish you learned earlier in your career that you could share with us?
Oh, there's lots of things.
Yeah.
I really think you should write down your goals and figure out what you want to do. I wanted to create a lifestyle business, and I did, but I did with networking and other people keeping up the Joneses ego. I did a hell of a lot. And I think if I could have done it differently, I would have just gotten 10 paid off houses, called it a day, had a good long-term property manager, and kind of just chilled. Regrets are for children. So don't have regrets. Just learn from them and move forward.
Absolutely. I think that's a great way to end this. Tell everybody where to find you and how to work with you.
I would probably just say, shoot me a text, 912-655-6633. I've actually got a lot of friends that hit me up through podcasts, and I give my phone number out, which is wild, but whatever. You can email me, curtisb1968@gmail.com. I'm on Instagram, curtisb2, Facebook as well. I don't really go on there as much, but yeah. I do have a website, Bell Homes LLC. I killed my construction company, so it's not as active as it once was. So, but you can see some stuff that we've done. And if you're in the Savannah area, give me a shout.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Curtis. I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Yes, and thank you everybody for listening. Hope you learned a lot and got some inspiration for your own business, and we'll see you back next time.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.